This is the DTV Digest, the podcast that brings you news and reviews of films which didn't make it to the cinema. And now, here's your host, Mike Parkin.
Hello everyone and welcome to the DTV Digest. I'm your host Mike Parkin and joining me tonight are Richard Hawes.
Hello everyone.
And Stephen Lockridge.
Hello.
This week is our Fright Fest episode. So all the main films we're going to be talking about tonight all get their UK premiere at Fright Fest, which is happening over the August bank holiday weekend. They'll be released well, I imagine between now and Christmas, but we're going to cover them in this episode anyway. So we're going to kick off with Pete Davidson in The Home. Then we have Jackie Earle Haley in Your Host. Then it's off to Pig Hill, and then it's off to Norway for Above the Knee, with a particularly notorious around these parts director. Then it's 213 Bones. No See Ums will come after that, and then Cover, and we're going to wind up with Super Happy Fun Clown. Our short shot this week. Oh God, I've forgotten to write down the title of it. Our short shot this week is Video Barn, and they're going to wind up with our DTV throwback. What was it? I'll always remember what you did last summer. The DTV sequel to You Know What. So, without further ado, let's crack on. Our first film then is The Home. A troubled young street artist called Max ends up doing community service at a local old people's home. While he warms to some of the residents, he soon comes to realize that the home holds some very dark secrets which he feels compelled to discover. Okay, so this stars Pete Davidson. Are you familiar with him, Rich?
Yeah, he's a member of these. Well, I don't know if he's still on the team, but he's a Saturday Night Live comedian.
He was, yeah, you're right. He has actually left last year, I believe, or last season. He did actually leave, but yeah, that's where he's come from. Decided to break out into films, I guess. I think he does really well here. You know, he does play the part very well. He comes across his character comes across as quite endearing, you know. He's quite charming. He's got more heart than he would initially let on, and overall I did enjoy this. I think it has got a good setup, good premise. I wasn't happy with some of the editing to begin with. I felt it was too sort of early 2000s sort of. In fact, this is a criticism of a couple of films tonight, but there was that sort of avid fart kind of ADR nonsense going on to begin with. It did settle down and sort of tell a decent story. I thought this was very well told. It did remind me of something which I cannot say. I'll talk to you off air about that one. But what did you make of The Home?
I thought it was kind of like okay, let's talk about Pete Davidson first, because I will say, you know, he is a comedian, and this is one of those examples of the comedian playing straight, and here he plays it completely straight. He doesn't. There's not really any humor.
No, at all.
I can think there's some unintentional humor, and there's some sort of gallows humor kind of stuff and some weird stuff going on, but it's more about him observing it and reacting to it rather than him being the cause of it. So he's usually the persona that usually comes across in the roles that I've seen him in, particularly Bodies, and his guest starring roles on The Rookie, is that he's this very brash, you know, sort of lewd sort of character, you know, and here he's kind of very much internalized, and he's so it's a very straight role for him, and I think he does pretty well with it. And then all the chaos is kind of what he encounters, and I think the film's very. I think for the same thing as you is I can't say too much, because if you say too much, it gives it away. So if you say, "Oh,
Indeed.
it's a bit like X,"
Exactly.
then you know it. But basically, there's weird stuff going on, and he's going to get to the bottom of it. But there's the the stuff that what he reveals is not a million miles away from stuff we've seen in other films, I guess. And if I so I, there's
True.
yeah, I'm not going to.
But
it's awful. There's like a name I want to say, but it's if I say that name, you're probably the listeners are probably going to know where I'm going with it. But I thought the cast was really good. There's a lot of really eccentric characters. They're all very eccentric and lots of bizarre stuff happening. The thing we got John Glover's in there, who I really like. Was in films like Gremlins 2 and Automatic, the Olivia Gruner film. He had a role in that, and he was Lionel Luthor on Smallville is one of his most well-known roles. So great to see him. There's some really nice stuff happening. There's some other people in the sort of supporting ensemble that were really good. But yeah, it's one of those films where there's a mystery sort of horror element, and him getting to the bottom of it. And I thought it was well done, if not entirely. It doesn't really break any new ground, which I guess explains to me why it's more of a digital release rather than a theatrical. Because I think this, it's got the potential to be a theatrical release, but I think it's just on the other side. And I think when you've got films like Weapons coming out, which are a bit more adventurous, this one sort of seems a bit more. Even something like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies was taking conventions and sort of playing with them and doing different stuff. This one plays it fairly safe, although there's some pretty interesting sort of weird weird horror sort of elements in there.
Absolutely. I must admit, it did manage to wrong foot me with a couple of the characters, without going into any detail. And also, there's a reveal towards the end, which was very good. And then the solution they come up with, I thought that was really good, and came out of nowhere. And
I agree. I think there's some of the there's some red herring stuff that happens, and some sort of revelations, as you say, as the story folds, which I do think are really good, because I didn't see a couple of those coming, and I think it's predictably unpredictable. It kind of goes in the direction you kind of expect it to.
Once it's happened, you go, oh my god, and you go, well, yeah, of course, there's a bit of that. But I did love where it ended up as well, because it gets very bloody all of a sudden. Really ramps it up towards the end. I thought that whole sequence was great.
I think one of the influences must have been Society. It doesn't end where Society ends.
That's the one I wasn't going to mention.
Oh, I don't think Society. I don't think. Well, I apologize. Is that a spoiler? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know Society well enough. It's only really that ending scene that I know.
So, Rich, what's your score for The Home?
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. It is pretty decent. It ends very well. I think it does sort of drag a little bit as well at times. But overall, this is a solid 7. Yeah. 2 7s then for The Home. Go check it out. Our next film is Your Host. 4 friends find themselves captives of a deranged killer who forces them to participate in a deadly game show which will reveal each of their darkest secrets and fears, as well as the identity of their host. Okay, so no spoilers that Jackie Earle Haley is the host in this one. Although he wears a weird mask for a good chunk of the film. It wasn't, in fact, until we see a flashback of him that I went, it's Jackie Earle Haley. There you go. So
is this a state of his career? Is it sort of, do you think this is like a drop down? He's kind of. What's the standard of the production here? Is it
standards pretty. It's pretty decent. It is relatively low budget, but it's got good gore effects and things like that. There is one particular bit. So I warned Steve off this one because Steve doesn't like excessive gore, and there's a particular scene where one of the characters gets a what do they call it? It's like a compression thing with a big spike, basically sort of driven through their skull. It looks great, from a special effects point of view. They did a brilliant job, but it is pretty nasty as well. But so we've got this thing, 4 people chained got like metal collars around their necks, chained to the wall, a bit like in one of the Saw movies, basically, and they're sort of forced one after the other to sort of take part in these sort of weird little games, which are all set up so they're going to lose. The issue I have with this film isn't the over familiarity, because we have come across films like this before. The issue is the reason why this guy is doing it. So Jackie Earle Haley's character used to be a game show host, and all of these people that he's been killing have been involved in the production of his show. The main girl of which was coaxed by her friends to put in a false report of sexual harassment against Jackie Earle Haley's character, which ruined his career and earned her a lot of money. Yeah. So the whole thing is this sort of like anti-Me Too film. It is, you see a lot of stuff on social media that oh well, of course she told on him because then she gets a big payout kind of thing, and the whole film is basically a very sort of cynical portrayal of that, where this guy is being basically set up, and he loses everything as a result. Oh, worries me, I wasn't a sexual predator or anything. I just liked having women around, keep making physical contact and all the rest of it. So everyone who's in, we see like in flashbacks and things as part of the show end up being killed by him in this sort of grotesque studio that he's developed. So it left a very sort of sour taste in the mouth, basically. It's like, well, this is what everyone says happens, and it's like, yeah, but it doesn't. So there you go. That was my take on it, at least. But the gore's good. I will give it that. Jackie Earle Haley is good because he is like totally deranged. He's not overselling the game show part, but it's the bits when he's not in game show mode which really sort of make the character. Thought that was very good. And they sort of the various things that sort of people come out with was very good indeed. But it's just the whole concept of what they're going for. I just didn't buy at all, unfortunately.
Do you think that is like do they have that agenda? Do you think that's a legitimate, sort of complaint that they're pushing? They do feel like the director or whatever, the writer.
I think so, because
feel that way. Is there anything in the film that undermines that or says that?
No.
That this is. No.
This is the thing, I mean, once this all comes out, it's kind of like, what's the name of the actor? The actress in Deep Blue Sea, the
Saffron Burrows.
Saffron Burrows, yeah. It's kind of like her character. Once that revelation comes out of what she's done, it's like we don't really sort of care if she lives or dies now. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the same situation here, and the film does sort of play up to that. This isn't sort of a film where the good guy wins. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So and then, well, funny enough, the epilogue of the film sort of reinforces that because he's got a new contestant who has, um, he's like one of the executives who paid out all the women who made the allegations.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just sort of reinforces it basically. So whether or not, I suppose if they didn't believe it, then they wouldn't have gone for that outcome. But
Mm.
there you go. I may be
It does
wrong.
sound very Thor-like.
It is very
But
Saw-like, yes. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is very Saw-like
at least
indeed.
it sounds better than that other game show one we watched about, the streaming on the
Yeah.
dark web sort of
Oh
thing.
yeah. Well, at least that one had the
Another
sort of
block,
police.
but-
That one had a police procedural element to it.
Yeah, well,
You
there
know,
was that.
and and that was the thing I was waiting for here was the sort of the reveal that he's streaming on the internet or something, but he's not. He's doing it purely for his own edification, his own justification, I should say.
Oh, I
Um,
see. So
you
that
know,
it's actually different in that sense to all the other ones we've seen about
yeah,
game shows. Is that it's a private entertainment that he's running
indeed,
through. He's just
yeah,
going through
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
absolutely. So yeah, I think that premise is knocking it down for me. Um, to a 6. It is a pretty solid film overall. As I said, some of the gore effects are very well done. That thing with the the spike, that was incredibly well done, I have to say. So yeah, a 6 out of 10 for your host. Go check it out. Our next review is Pig Hill. Carrie has been fascinated by the local legend of the pig people of Pig Hill, revolting creatures who breed and cause havoc in the area. As the 10th woman goes missing, Carrie can't stop thinking that there could be more to these stories. Okay, so for me,
Mm-hmm.
this was like a film of two halves.
Yeah.
The first half, which should have been the bit I enjoyed, because I do like a good procedural and investigation and stuff, dragged for ages. And it also suffered from the editing again, because there's always, you keep getting these sort of flashes of like someone in a pig mask
Yeah.
or a pig monster or whatever it is. And it's like, for whose benefit is that? I find that sort of shit very annoying. But just as you think it's sort of running out of steam, it suddenly turns a corner, and the last sort of 20 minutes or so are completely deranged, for which I doff my hat, basically.
Yeah.
I think that the trouble is it does drag. I found myself quite distracted watching it. Until that final 20 minutes, and suddenly I was like glued to the screen. But and it's good. When you get to that bit, you suddenly realise that there were clues
Yeah.
earlier on.
Yeah.
There's certain red flags flying around. But yeah, I thought it did a bang up job for the remainder of the film. I just wish the earlier bit had been a bit tighter. What did you make of Pig Hill, Steve?
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. I thought the opening scene was quite, what I expected, but then there's a scene about 10, 15 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
The birth scene, shall we say?
Oh God, yeah.
Now
I forgot about that bit.
how the fuck you forgot about that bit? I do not know, because that was harrowing. That was
Yes.
that was awful. But then again, like you say, it does like slow down again to a procedural,
Mm.
and yeah, then just goes batshit insane at the last 20 minutes, half hour.
Mm.
And like you
But
said, the clues are there. It is
Mm.
pretty obvious what
In
the crack
retrospect,
is.
it is. Yeah. When
Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, there's a couple of bits. I'm like going, okay, he's acting a bit shifty,
Mm.
and he shouldn't be. But yeah. But no, you're absolutely right. That birth scene, I don't know, I'd put it out of my head. Um, but again, um, there's elements of that
Mm.
when she's been interviewed by the sheriff afterwards,
Yeah.
and he's sort of saying, no, baby looked fine to me,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
You know, that's sort of like it all ties into what we find out later on,
Yeah.
which I thought was great. Yeah, I must admit, I was wrong-footed, and yeah, absolutely loved the final element, and it did sort of make me appreciate some more of sort of the earlier scenes. But again, I just wish it had been a bit tighter and less ADR nonsense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, because, like, you go through some of the film and then what's happened to her or what she believes has happened is
Mm.
just wiped out in a way,
Yeah,
and you're like, well, why include it then if it's not?
yeah,
I know
exactly.
it builds it up for her, but it doesn't really work when you look back at it and you think about it.
It's too extreme, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
we're going to cover films like later where people have a narrow escape, and then
Mm.
it's like, well, there's no sign of whatever it is, but this is like incredibly extreme stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
that she's saying happened, and then it's like, oh no, nothing happened, or there's no evidence that happened. She's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the supposed hiding gangster that nobody's seen for 10 years, and
Mm.
oh, hello, hi, all right, mate. There
Yeah.
we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there's like
whoa.
one red herring too many, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, we bumped into his best mate last night. We'll go find his best mate again. Oh no, you're here. Oh, happy days,
Yeah.
mate. How's it going?
Mm.
But, the main couple are quite sweet, and I did like how they played off each other and stuff like that. But yeah,
Hmm.
it really is the last 20 minutes where it does kick into gear and improves a hell of a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, yeah. And it does improve the earlier part as well, because you start playing
Mm,
it back through your head and it's like, oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Guys,
Go
can I
on.
Well,
just interrupt before? I saw that Rainey Qualley is in this, Margaret
yeah,
Qualley's sister.
yeah.
And I've not come across her before, so I was just wondering, did she have much of a role, and what was she like in it?
She's the main character, but
Mm.
Uh-huh.
yes, she is good. She's
Yeah.
decent, and
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, like I said, the main two. I mean, the performances are good. There's no really bad performances in it. Everyone's pretty decent, but yeah, she's all right. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Do you know who her mother is?
yep.
Yeah,
She's Andy
I,
McDowell.
yeah, which I didn't
Oh,
realize
okay.
until recently. So yeah,
All
so
right.
yeah, yeah, and Shane West is also in it. Well, I haven't seen in anything for
Hmm.
ages, but he was in
Mm,
stuff like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and that back in the day. I mean, he came up through teen movies and stuff, so he was at his height around the sort of early 2000s, and he looks like he's been working steadily, but I haven't seen anything that he was in.
Mm.
But the fact that he was in it was quite interesting to me. That I was curious to check this out. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance
Mm.
to, because it's about an hour and 40 minutes, and it was just
It was,
yeah.
as I said, yeah. As
which
mentioned,
I
it's a
think is too
bit
long
long.
for. I think
It
horror
is.
movie should be about an hour and 20 minutes, basically.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah. Shane West was good in this as well. Played the guy who used to live in the town but came back, that sort of thing. Yeah, it was pretty decent.
The other thing is this is from the director of Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas
Ah,
Cage.
yeah, which
Ah, yeah.
I enjoyed that one. Yeah.
But the director's actually made a couple of other films since then as well. So he's a very busy guy. It's like he's making a good few films. It's say Willy's Wonderland. I thought Willy's Wonderland was like a newcomer kind of thing, but he's been around for
Mm.
ages. But yeah, he's been working steadily. Did a film called The Accursed,
Hmm.
which I think is on Now TV, and there's another one called Oak. Both look quite interesting. But yeah, Willy's Wonderland was actually back in 2021. I don't know if it took a while to come out over here, but it feels like it wasn't that long ago. But
No.
yeah, enjoyed that one. So yeah, I'm not sure you've sold me on it, but I'm still sort of curious about it from a couple of things you said. So I'll let you get on with your scores now.
Yeah. On that note, Steve, what are you going to score Pig Hill?
I'll give it a 6. I just
Yeah.
think that first hour drops it a bit.
Yeah. It's definitely worth hanging in there for. You need a little bit of patience. But as Steve mentioned, that the birth scene is out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the final 20 minutes, the good stuff. But it's just some of the editing early on and some of the pacing in the middle sort of hurts it a bit. So there you have it. 2 6s for Pig Hill. Go check it out. Our next film is Above the Knee. Amir has a secret. He's tormented by visions of his leg rotting and longs to cut it off, convinced it doesn't belong to him. So he devises a plan, one which will drag everyone around him into his relentless quest for dark redemption. The only thing you guys need to know about this film is that it's directed by the same guy who did Good Boy 2 years ago. Probably one of the most reviled films we've ever covered. And I mean that in a good way. It's a well-made film, Good Boy, but the subject matter was horrific in every sense of the word. And
The reminder, because I'm not sure about that one.
Good Boy is the one where a woman starts dating this guy who seems really nice, but it turns out he's got a slave who he makes wear a dog outfit for the whole time and treats him exactly if he was a dog.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think you saw it. But me and
No, we did watch one called Pets, which was like an experiment.
Oh no, that was great. Yeah, no, it's Pets. That was great.
A different kettle of fish.
No,
Yeah.
no, I think this is the one where me and Steve used the C word quite liberally when describing the character. This isn't as bad as that. It didn't, it doesn't have the same sort of knee-jerk reaction. This is more of it's a psychodrama basically. We're following this guy around. He's convinced about his leg. He fantasizes about cutting it off. He fantasizes about being in a wheelchair. All this sort of stuff. It's not as gruesome or as grotesque as it sounds. Does he get his leg cut off? Does he? Doesn't he? Sort of thing. How does it all play out? There's scenes. There are some good scenes in it. Like he's like imagining how his girlfriend's going to react, and he's sort of has nightmares about her just totally rejecting him and things like that. It's like you've got a good life, you've got a good girlfriend, all the rest of it, and you're going to throw it all away because of this sort of weird hang up that you've got. It is a weird film for sure. This guy, so the name is Viljar Boa. Yeah, he's definitely out there as far as I'm concerned. Good Boy is just sort of made me go, no, I don't want to see any of his films ever again. Thank you very much. The star of it, Amir Freddie Singh, he co-wrote it as well. He's very much involved in this one, and I guess that helps as far as sort of selling the performance. But yeah, it's not, and for me, it wasn't enjoyable because with Good Boy in the back of my mind, I'm just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, But yeah, it's not for me. Other people might get something out of it. And on that note, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I don't want to put people off too much, unless you've seen Good Boy and you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a 6 out of 10. Go check it out if you think you can. Our next film is 213 Bones. It's 1993, and a class of anthropology students are stalked and killed by a masked serial killer who leaves a human bone near each of the victims. The students must work together to find out who is behind the killing spree. It's The Breakfast Club, 1993 meets Scream, basically, is what we got here. I did enjoy this one. It is very straightforward. We do have a large cast, which is quite surprising. You know, we got a whole, I don't know, there's about a dozen almost of these students, but they do sort of fall into the jock, you know, the nerds, the princesses, you know, the punk guys, basically. Then you got the teacher, and then get the who else turns up? Oh yeah, then you got the old guy in the class who kind of reminds me of Terry Pratchett because he's got the same sort of wide brimmed hat. Yeah, I quite like this one. It is very straightforward. It is a case of, you know, people getting bumped off, trying to figure out who the killer is. And you know, so the more people get bumped off, the smaller the suspect list gets. But there are some decent kills and things going on, which I did enjoy. The mask itself, you know, the masked killer, I thought had a very strong look. It was sort of quite sort of intimidating and grotesque, and you know, it played into the soundtrack of the decade as well. So you know, there's some really good sort of tracks on the soundtrack. The Breeders in one
Cannonball.
particular moment. Sorry?
Was it Cannonball?
No, it wasn't. It was
Oh.
what was the song called? I just want to get along or something. I can hear it in my head, but I can't remember it. Yeah. But no, yeah.
Sorry.
It was pretty decent. The only thing is, I did peg who the killer was round about the halfway mark because there's one particular thing that happens, and there's only one person who could have done it, really. But and I thought the actual motive was not there at all. You know, it wasn't really. It didn't really do anything. But there you go. But Rich, what did you make of 213 Bones?
Yeah, I'm a fan of slasher movies, so when they're done well and you know it's made to a good standard, and this certainly is that. The like you say, I mean, I'm not that bothered about the soundtrack, but when Bananarama came on, I was just like, oh, I
Oh,
know
that's
that one.
right. Yeah.
But you know, there's music throughout the film, which I didn't recognize. But you know, you look at the track list at the end, and you realize, oh, they must have spent a significant amount of the budget on the
Yeah.
soundtrack. It's Susie and the Banshees, Jesus and Mary Chain, Soundgarden. Who else is it? Mudhoney and Chris Cornell. There's loads.
Yeah.
So
So they didn't want to sort of evoke the era, but, you know. So yeah.
So I think the film has it's got a good look. You know, it's got a good production standard. We got some familiar names and faces. You know, at least a couple, because you generally need a couple. So we've got Colin Egglesfield, who you know is not the most well-known guy in the world, but I've come across him in a couple of things, and including Vampires: The Turning, which was like the third film in the John Carpenter's Vampires franchise, the second direct-to-video one after the
Right. So after
John
the Bon
Bon Jovi.
Jovi one, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what I thought was quite interesting, the lead actress, who I guess is the final girl of it, I can't remember, but she's Japanese, so which is unusual. So it's Luna Fujimoto from Sniper, Grit, and
Oh yeah.
a few other films, Blade of the 47 Ronin as well. She was in.
I've got that.
So yeah, yeah. So she's sort of worked her way up from sort of starring in Japanese and Hong Kong films and stuff to Hollywood stuff. And so this is a good move for her. And yeah, the rest of the cast was quite, I didn't mind the cast. I didn't dislike anyone. I didn't, because we watched that slasher movie. Remember the one where they're in the van, the RV, and they're sort of stuck in a time loop or something. Something is going on. But they were all like, you hated all the characters. You absolutely hated them. And in this case, I didn't hate them. There's some I like, didn't like so much, but they were, you could get on with them. You didn't mind the movie and you wanted to see what was going to happen. The mystery stuff all worked quite well. I do think it fell down a bit on the kills. For me, there was nothing particularly notable about them, but that might have been in part because some of the scenes are quite dark, and when I'm watching on my computer, I can't really see it very well. But it didn't seem that flashy. And like you, I think, you get to the revelation and it's a bit like, okay. But then again, that's the problem with many slasher movies just can't do that final twist. It just doesn't really work out. But I will say, as a college set slasher or whatever, or university set slasher, whatever it is, I think it sits quite well alongside things like Urban Legend. And there was one we watched a few years ago, which I can't remember the name of, but that was quite a good campus slasher. I wish I could remember the name of it. But so I think it's a good addition because we've come across some slasher movies lately that just haven't been that good. And I think this is made to. I think they've worked their budget quite nicely to get to a good standard. So it's made to, it's quite a polished look. The cast is quite decent. I just want to give the old guy with the beard in the class. Do you know who that is?
No.
You heard of Dean Cameron?
Yes.
He was in Summer School and a bunch of other sort of teen and post-teen comedies in the 80s. I think Rockula he was in as well. But he was in he was a leading, teen idol sort of guy, I guess. I mean, and sort of Summer School, he had a supporting role. And
he got old.
School. He doesn't look like that normally. He like appears in things and directs short films and makes short films and other productions and that. So he's still very active, but he was very much he was like a Steve Guttenberg type back in the day. And I just thought it was cool to see him because I didn't recognize him at all. I knew he was in it, but then I'm watching the film and I'm like, oh, that's him, right? Okay. So I thought that was quite good. But yeah, so I say it's not great, but it gets the job done. It's almost, it's not quite theatrical standard, but it's edging close. It's not quite a Blumhouse or something like that, but there's not much in it. But,
I think it needed. I don't know. The motif of leaving like the human bones. I think maybe it needed to play up that more because it didn't really sort of do anything. But yeah, it is solid enough. As I said, it's got the soundtrack. The characters, as you say, are for the most part pretty decent. Even the sort of deadbeat drug addict loser kind of guy is actually really nice, and and people actually like him. He's friends with the other sort of stoner and all the rest of it. I thought the kills were done well. They're not flashy, but they are sort of in a sort of slasher tradition. So I thought they did work well, especially the twofer. When you got the boy and girl in the apartment, I thought that worked really well. All good stuff. Right, what are you going to score it?
Sound a bit boring, but I'm going to give it another 7. I think it's a 7.
Yes, it's a solid 7. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. 2 7s for 213 bones. Go check it out. Our next film is No See Ums. Ember joins a group of friends for a weekend in the country, but what begins as a relaxing spring break getaway spirals into a nightmare when something ancient and vengeful awakens beneath the surface and a past that refuses to stay dead.
Right, before you guys get into this, I
Yep.
looked up. I was trying to find the trailer for this.
Mhm.
The first thing that comes up is midges, or something like
Yeah.
midges.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, the description, like you've just read out, at no point to me said this is going to be about midges. So, are there any midges in this film?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing about this is the way we had the title written on our spreadsheet.
Mm.
I was thinking it was something called Nosiums.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking there's something weird about noses or something. Yeah. But anyway, no, it's no-see-ums. And the no-see-ums are basically the midges and mosquitoes and things, because this is set in the Florida sort of,
Like
Everglades swamp, basically. And Ember has gone with, Ember's black, and she's gone with her predominantly white friends to this weekend getaway. She's basically been invited by her roommate to tag along. But she is, she sticks out like a sore thumb, and she, unfortunately, she has to endure a certain amount of racism when they go to they stop off at a petrol station, and she asks to use the restroom, and this woman behind the counter is giving a shit like only paying customers and all this, and then a friend comes in and goes, "Oh, that's weird. She gave me the key," you know, which is like, okay. But then there's other bits as well. The way her one of the friends, Abigail, starts acting towards her as well is like really, really shitty. And I was wondering if if that was just her, or whether or not she was being influenced by what was going on around them, But she does basically start treating Ember as if she was like a servant at one point. This is very. It's not it's not a scary movie, is what I was going to say, Steve.
Yeah.
This isn't a scary movie at all. This is. I don't know how to describe it, to be honest. I mean, I wouldn't say
Boring.
okay. I think it is saved a bit by the sort of racism element, because it did make it a bit interesting to what was going on. The ending is just like, what the fuck? To be honest,
when a giant midge turns up.
Yeah, well, it's a cloud of midges which are sort of manifested to, but by the ghost of her ancestor or something.
Oh, okay. I was joking, but that sounds all right.
Yeah. No.
It doesn't look great.
I want to see a film about giant midges. Come on.
No.
There actually is there is
probably is.
Aside, I think somebody made a trailer called Midges. It's like a spoof, short film kind of thing, and I think they would like to make that to like a local film about killer midges. But yeah, so how do the midges play into it? Not until the end, or
right?
I'm interrupting your flow here, but
yeah, they turn up a couple of times.
What's the relevance of the midges? Why is the
it's
film
just
called
because
Midges?
well, it's just
because
they go to this sort of summer house place, which is the friend Abigail is sort of like saying, "Oh, it's our lakeside property kind of thing." But when they turn up, it's like it's in a swamp, basically. is what it is. And there are an abundance of sort of midges and mosquitoes knocking around anyway. And Ember keeps getting stung or bitten from time to time. But yeah, they do manifest at the end. No, I think there's another bit, isn't there, where she finds like an open grave.
Yeah, and it's full of them, and she nearly gets dragged in.
Yeah,
and she checks her mate's back, and there's nothing there.
Yeah,
and that's basically all that happens in the first hour. I'm sorry, mate, but it was boring as hell. There's nothing going on. I mean, okay, you've got the racist undertones and things like that, which make it all right. And then you find out what the crack is, and it's basically just that mate's family nicked it off her family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very very coincidental. That I thought,
Yeah, exactly. All them hundreds of years ago, but they turn up at the same place together.
Yeah, exactly. And then the sort of conclusion was just like this really sort of glib one, sort of one-liner, and it's
Yeah,
like
I mean,
it's almost like it reminded me of like something from The Simpsons where they'll do like a freeze frame, you
yeah,
know, or police squad or something.
Police Squad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
definitely.
it's like five people dead, and you come out with a glib one-liner, and it's like, oh, it doesn't matter, yeah. And
Yeah,
then freeze frame when everyone's laughing. That's how it felt at the end.
yeah,
Very,
Like
very
the
silly
end,
film.
like the end of every 1980s TV
Yeah,
show or whatever.
exactly.
Like
yeah,
my
Yeah,
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 final.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's exactly how it
But
felt at the end.
again, it's one of those that I've said before. I don't know who it's for.
Hmm.
It's not scary for horror fans, and to be fair, even a younger audience, I don't think get
Hmm.
into it. Um, it's not even,
It's
and
a
I'm
small,
not.
yeah. It's a horror film for people who don't like horror films, basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
what it boils down to.
Get to the place. So Neil gets pulled into this grave by these midges.
Hmm.
Then they get pissed and have a bit of a row, and she starts treating her like a slave.
Hmm.
And then you get the final reveal at the end where they're just having a party, get pissed and start arguing with each other.
Hmm.
And it's just
Oh,
like,
that was the funny
mm,
bit. It was a funny bit as well because they invite these two guys over,
yeah,
um, which kind of goes against what the whole point of the weekend is like. Oh, it's just a girls' weekend sort of thing,
yeah,
But she can't help themselves by inviting these two guys over, and even these two guys are probably like all night going, they're flirting, and as the flirting's getting more and more flirty, you know, and even they can read the room and go, "We're gonna go,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna leave."
yeah,
Which I thought was really funny. It's like even the promise of sex isn't enough to sort of keep them in this sort of really toxic argument that's going on. It's very fun. I like that quite a
mm,
bit. Anyway, all said and done, what are you going to score it?
5.
A 5. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I'm going to join you on a 5. I was thinking, yeah, no, definitely a 5.
Yeah,
Two, but I did. I managed to watch the whole thing, which is a plus. 2 5s then for. Oh, bloody hell. Do that
no
again.
seams.
Yeah. 2 5s then for No See Ums. Go check it out if you're there. Our next film is Cover. When a traveling stamp dealer called Trevor gives a ride to a young woman on the run from her abusive boyfriend, he soon discovers that things aren't as cut and dried as they first appear. Okay, we have come across this kind of film at least twice
Mm,
in the past. It is a genre I actually like. Okay, this sort of like, it's sort of a road trip, which, two strangers on a road trip basically, and things aren't quite right, and then, details are revealed as they go or retconned in afterwards. There was the rideshare one we watched.
yeah,
And actually, there was another rideshare one similar, but with the roles reversed. So it was a woman driver with a male customer, and that was really good as well. This is
Black
very
Cat.
much no, no, not but Black Cab is another similar one, I guess. But yeah,
mm,
um, but yeah, this works really well. Um, a guy Trev, he's an ex-cop and now dealing in stamps, and he's on his way to sell some covers, which are basically stamped envelopes. That's what a cover is. So it's where the stamp is actually being used, you know,
right, yeah, yeah,
and it links into a mythical thing that actually happened sort of back in the 70s. And yeah, so it's got this situation. This woman sort of says, "Look, I'm really desperate for help. Can you help?" And he's like, "Fucking fine," because he can't really sort of turn it down. but he's a bit savvy to it as well. He doesn't really believe what she's telling him, but at the same time, he's a nice guy. He can't really sort of just leave her. But things happen along the way, and then you get probably about 2/3 of the way in the film, and then it sort of like switches, not exactly switches protagonists, but switches perspectives and goes back over certain incidents to sort of show them from another perspective, you know. So I really like this one, I have to say. Not really a lot happens. It's mainly about the two characters and whether or not you believe what's been said and what isn't been said. But it does sort of build quite nicely, and then you get this sort of payoff at the end, this confrontation. I did like this. It's very streamlined. Gets you from A to B for sure. So yeah, not a lot to say about it because I don't want to give anything away. But I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. Go check it out. Our final main review is Super Happy Fun Clown. To escape a life of oppressed obscurity, a battered former wunderkind weaponizes her obsession with clowning, serial killers, and classic movie monsters into a night of shocking infamy. I'm going to kick this one straight over to Steve. What did you make of Super Happy Fun Clown?
I actually enjoyed this. It's not brilliant. It's not brilliantly made, but yeah, it's very bizarre, very quirky. I mean, it's all almost a silent film in a way, really, because the only people who talk or when she talks is when she's not in a clown outfit,
Mm.
which is like probably 75% of the film. And she's this little kid who's in a TV advert supposed to be fabulous and all this lot, and she just ends up working some shit 9 to 5 job and then making a bit of money on the side doing a clown in a park. And her mother is awful.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably the worst mother I've seen on screen since Carrie. Her husband, I thought it was just a roommate at first until it's specifically said it is her husband.
Mm.
Just sits there watching Three Stooges all day.
Playing with a plate of spaghetti and stuff like that.
Yeah, throwing food at her. And then it just gets weirder from there, basically. Then she, finally decides to go on this, snaps and goes on this killing spree to make herself and everybody else famous. It's quite bizarre, but weirdly enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree. It is a film of two halves
Yeah.
for sure. There's the sort of the oppressive bit at the beginning. When you find out what her fucking mother is like.
Mm.
That is awful. That whole thing. You can imagine sort of growing up in that household. No wonder she's twisted. But then she has this work friend. Things seems to be going well there. Gets invited to a party, all this sort of stuff. But yeah, she just sort of turns it on. Flicks the switch, and
Yes.
suddenly she's super happy, fun psycho clown, basically.
Yeah.
But it is, that part of it is really good. I thought the whole thing with the haunted house, and everything, I thought worked really well.
Yeah.
It was very, very good. Rich, what did you make of Super Happy Fun Clown?
Yeah, I liked it as well. It's low budget. It's got that indie feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very much indie movie, quirky sense of humor, dark humor, and I did like it. It's based on it's adapted from or extended from a short film. They basically the director Patrick Ray's done a whole bunch of stuff, mainly shorts, and this was one that he'd made with Jennifer Seward, and they've expanded upon it. He's brought her back, and they've created the whole story. I guess the stuff with the detectives on the case was probably added in because I don't know how long the original short was, but I presume that's been added to sort of flesh it out. It's partial character study because she's this vulnerable girl who she's got these this abuse that she suffers from her mother and stuff, and then she's got these interests, and she channels all that interest in serial killers and clowns and stuff. It's all tied together, and I think it all plays out fairly conventionally, but with that sort of weird indie sort of quirk to it that keeps your interest. So yeah, I did like it. I think I don't know what I think it was quite interesting. This is the one film of the week that we were all
we all end up watching.
I'm not sure why. For me, it was like I was intrigued by the title and stuff. I was like, that's odd. I wonder what that's all about, kind of thing. So I think it's got an interest. The title kind of hooks you in, and it's obviously it's ironic, because she's not happy at all. But she like you say, when it sort of turns and she becomes the killer, which it's kind of she becomes almost like a Marcel Marceau kind of clown rather than. Oh no, I know Marcel's not a clown, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Silent clown rather than. She doesn't run around with a horn, using that as a voice or anything like that. But she doesn't say anything. She's not like Pennywise or something making jokes and stuff. But so I thought that the way she channels herself into that, and she's very committed to it. It's like she won't break character. She's just So, and I thought the performance was good. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I didn't love it, but it was interesting enough that it sort of made it sort of stand out just a bit from the crowd.
See, I'm kind of the opposite in that the title is enough to sort of make me go, I'm not interested in this at all. Anything to do with clowns, is a bit of a turn off for me personally. So, but I did enjoy it.
If it was a film about a clown killing dogs, then that would be your worst film ever.
Yeah, it probably would be. Probably would be. Yeah. But it was pretty solid. As I said, it is a low budget film, but it played within its its parameters. It played to its strengths, basically, which is its cast. Some of the kills were pretty decent. It was very good, very decent. What we're going to
sorry, say that. One of the shorts that the director did previously is called The Exorcist Parabellum, which I just have to see that now.
Genius. Is that like the new Electric Boogaloo? Is that? Yeah. Awesome. Right. Okay. What are we going to score? Super Happy Fun Clown. Steve?
I'll give it a 7.
And Rich?
I'm going to give it a 6.
I'm going to go a 7. So 2 7s and a 6 for Super Happy Fun Clown. I do like saying it. It's got a nice sort of feel to it. But yeah, Super Happy Fun Clown gets a 6 and 2 7s. Go check it out. Our short shot this week is Video Barn, the VHS you should never watch. In Kennedy, best friends Hannah and Julie spend their last summer nights at the town's fading video store, Video Barn, obsessing over cult horror films. One night, Julie finds a mysterious VHS labeled Just Press Play and vanishes after watching it. Okay, then. I enjoyed this for what it was. It's one of those weird ones. It's almost like a Twilight Zone episode in that it's very enigmatic. There's no real explanation of what's going on, no payoff at the end. You're just sort of kind of left hanging as to what's really happening. Steve, what did you make of it?
Yeah, it's it is. It's like Twilight episode or Outer Limits, it just they get sucked into this video. But it's done well. It's I thought the lighting and the shots were great. But yeah, it's one of them. There's no explanation to it. It just happens, and then it happens again, and then that's about it, really. There's no lore about this tape. It's just there, and I think if it was expanded into like a feature, with a bit more backstory or what happens if they get out or not, or if they're trapped in there forever or whatever. I think it would be pretty good. It kind of, in a way, reminded me of Poltergeist as well.
I think there is a danger as well, though. There's a film I covered a while ago called Broadcast Intrusion, which was about someone back in the days of like cable TV or satellite. You have these activists sort of actually breaking into the signal, and like taking over the signal for like a few minutes before going back, and it actually happened a few times, but it was really, really intriguing, but it had nowhere to go beyond that premise, really. And I suspect this would end up in the same category as that, unless they are able to sort of really sort of flesh out what it is, what's the agenda and all the rest of it. It could end up sort of just writing itself into a corner. But anyway, Rich, what did you make of Video Bun?
I think, like you guys, I think the production values and the cast and everything are what makes it worth watching more than the sort of satisfaction of the horror scenario itself. It's decent. It's done enough. Like you're saying, Mike, like for what it is, it's like there's not a lot there. It's so you get there's a lot of it's 13 minutes, and they spend quite a lot of that time sort of setting up the characters and that before. So we got Grace Dean, for example, with one of the characters from Stranger Things, and the other one is played by Raina Hardesty. They get the tape, they put the tape in. One of them disappears. It's very Poltergeist-like. But then there's this, and then there's this other aspect of it where they're basically forced to be taking part in a commercial for a videotape, like for a style of videotape, and they're making these adverts, and they're like being controlled. They're doing all the spiel, like they're an actor sort of doing the thing, but they're like, you can see in their eyes that they're struggling, and they're like pleading, like get me out. And the door is left open for things to go further, but it is. The way I felt about it was that it was like the start of an anthology film, or the wraparound sort of part of a, you could put it in anthology film, but I think the way I feel about it is like this would be like the starting off point, which we've seen with other films like the Scare Package and 1 and 2. Which is really worth watching.
Something like that, or I can imagine it being like a throwaway bit of like like the Waxwork films. I can see it being something like that. It's like, oh no, what happened to Julie or something, and then you see her on the videotape kind of thing, and that'll be it. There'll be no further interaction or whatever. It's like, oh my god, look what happened to Julie, and then whatever on to the next bit. I can see it like that, but who knows? Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe they've got this all mapped out in their heads and they know exactly what to do with it.
I think it's just one of those things. I mean, the Ring is another one, or Ringu. Is a touch point for this. We can't avoid it. But that had, that went somewhere, and you can understand, that the whole angle with the Ringu stuff was really, really clever, really, and the sort of bizarreness, but the sort of the way they built the idea around it. It worked, and they sort of ran it into the ground with all the different iterations and sequels and stuff. But with this, I don't think there's anywhere like that to go. And I think if they actually started to explain it too much, it would just ruin it. I think it's one of those things that has to be quite vague. It has to be just sort of a random, like you were saying, like a Tales from the Crypt, or a weird sort of anthology story kind of thing that has no real explanation. It's just a weird thing, that's happening. But I do think it's worth watching. I think it's decent enough.
Yeah.
But it really is. It's the way it's shot, and the cinematography and the actors and that make it worth. That's what makes it worth watching, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, so we don't score the shorts, but we do recommend you go check them out, and you will find a link to this in the footnotes below. So go check it out. Our DTV throwback this week is I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. A group of teenagers in Colorado find themselves being stalked and killed one by a mysterious figure with a hook, exactly 1 year after they covered up a friend's accidental death. Okay, so this is the second sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer, and the one that went straight to DVD, basically, which is why we're covering it. Interesting in a way that the new setting kind of works up to a point, although I think they could have done more with it. But there is one particular aspect of this which just made me go, "What?"
Yeah.
Well, actually, the one aspect when we go, "What?" and my other aspect went, "That's meant to be a hook," but there you go. Steve,
was that the crowbar?
Yeah.
The hook, or whatever it's meant to be. It's not hook. Anyway.
It's a fishing hook.
It's meant to be a fishing hook, but it looks more like something you nail to a wall as a decoration. It's like an inch thick. It's weird. It's like something you hang a coat on, not something you use to catch a fish with.
But was it not in the originals as well?
No, in the original it was a proper hook, like a fishing hook.
Okay.
But,
Anyway.
I have no problem with the hook. I think the hook is the least of the problems of this film.
Yeah. I will agree with that statement. Yeah,
it is very much so. But anyway, Steve, what did you make of I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer?
It's shockingly bad.
It is pretty bad.
It really is. I mean, for starters, there's like a grain on it. I mean,
picture quality is not great.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was the version that was uploaded, but I've looked up trailers and they all look the same.
It's
got this grainy, washed out look.
Yeah. The acting's terrible. The script is terrible. The shooting is awful. I mean, and the editing, it's like they were on LSD or something when they were trying to edit this. I mean,
this is what Mike was saying earlier about the whole Avid Farts thing. This is like from Avid Farts territory.
Yeah.
This was when this was at its worst point, I think.
Yeah. 2006, I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's the scene where they go visit the mate who's doing the welding, and he's on like the welding tower up above him. And when the shot turns to the two girls, it's like being shot between the bars of the welding tower. You can see the bars at the top and the bottom of it, and it's like, why? Just pan in that little bit more and get the bars out of the way. You don't need the fucking bars on the screen. It was just so annoying. And it's not just once, it's like through the whole scene. And even when they're looking up at him, it's just shot so weirdly. And it's like every shot is like 4 or 5 seconds. And, got to go to a new one. We've got to shoot it from this angle and do a Dutch angle here. And all. It's just absolute bollocks. And the ending where you find out who the killer is.
Or not.
Oh,
well, it turns out it's Jason Voorhees.
oh yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not being funny. There's no supernatural element to the others at all.
No, no, it was a particular person in each case, wasn't it? I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
It was the guy
So,
he ran over, then it was his son.
mhm.
Right?
So,
So why is it
mm,
suddenly supernatural? It makes no sense whatsoever at
nope,
all.
no, it really doesn't.
It was the fisherman Ben. What was it?
Yeah, Ben Summit, it was called.
Or whatever. Anyway, the he was the killer in the first one and the second one.
Oh, yeah, he was. It's in the second one as well, when he, yeah, with his son.
With his son, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that was the thing that struck, because I saw this when it came out, and I remember nothing
Right.
about. Have I seen this? I really can't imagine. And then it was like, no, because I remember where it got to at the end, and just thinking how absurd that was. I mean, that does not fit with the series at all.
No,
Nope.
it doesn't.
It's just stupid. They didn't need to do it.
Mm,
They
No.
didn't need to do it. It's just, why not just stick to it? The whole film was a copycat of the first film.
yep.
Although it does
Mm.
acknowledge the previous two films exist. So the first two films have happened. The events to the first two films have happened.
Yep.
The story with the fisherman has become an urban legend. So they're telling it. They don't really realize that it was something that actually happened, but they find out later that it did. But anyway, they're talking about it like it's an urban legend. So the fisherman's coming to get us, kind of thing, and then that backfires
Mm.
and causes
So
a fatality.
somehow that urban legend, because they've been talking about it, manifests itself into something that's real.
Well, they go as far as to say it's him from the previous two
Yeah.
movies. They basically say it's the same guy. He's just become
Mm.
this supernatural figure now, which doesn't make any sense. But the whole idea of they've the urban legend is become so strong that it becomes a reality. Okay, that's fine. We've seen that in other films.
Mhm.
The imaginary becoming real because people believe in it so much, or whatever. Okay, even
Mhm.
like Wes Craven's New Nightmare. That was the whole
Mhm.
concept. The evil that exists in the world. It decided to take the form of Freddy Krueger because Freddy Krueger had become so in the consciousness and stuff.
Mhm.
So they're trying to do that kind of thing, but it's just the way they handle it is just it's very throwaway,
Mm.
and it's like an afterthought, and and they reveal him, and it's just like these glowing eyes and this weird face and stuff, and it's like what? No,
No.
no. I mean, it's the one thing that makes this film really notable because everything else is just so
Bland.
rubbish.
Yep.
Yeah.
And poorly shot, poorly edited.
Mhm.
It's really. I mean, this you wouldn't believe. I don't know if you know this, but the cinematographer of this had previously done films like The Blues Brothers, Who's
Bloody
Harry
hell.
Crumb,
Mm.
Ulterior Motives, which was Thomasine
Mm.
Griffiths DTV movie, and Kentucky Fried Movie. So he had a very long career. So this is like at the tail end,
Mm.
and you would not know this was like an industry veteran who'd
No.
done these bigger movies because they say it's just so badly done. And the director himself, Sylvain Wyatt, after this, you would have thought he would never work again,
Mm.
but he went on to make the theatrically released film The Losers with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Zoe
Oh, yeah.
Saldana,
Yep.
as well
Yeah.
as a very prolific TV directing career, including a considerable amount of episodes of shows like Hawaii Five-0 and The Rookie.
Mm.
And he also did another feature film called The Slender Man.
Oh.
Years.
That's
But
been vilified
yeah.
as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty bad. But yeah, I was just thinking, yeah, that was a really bad development. And
The
yeah, I mean,
I must
the only-
admit, go on.
the interesting thing is they've made the new I Know What You Did Last Summer film, which basically doesn't, I presume, doesn't acknowledge this film at all. So this film is really now no longer canon.
No,
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
the bit that actually made me laugh out loud is in the ambulance at the end, when you got the final girl and the final boy,
Yeah.
giving their statements to the police, and she says something like, "Oh, yeah, you'll never have to worry about him ever again." And then the other guy goes, "Yes, it's over now." And it's like, it's just, if I was a cop, I'd be like heavily suspicious about those statements. You know?
But then again, the next shot
Mm,
is her in the
1
middle of the
year
desert being
later.
killed. Yeah, being killed by him a year later. So it's like, well, what's the fucking point then?
What is the
But
point of any of
that's
it?
what they did in the first movie and stuff, though. You know, that's another thing they copied. But the stupid thing is, okay, yeah, he's this supernatural thing. Okay, you can throw him in and get him chewed up by this thing, but he's clearly manifesting himself, you
Mm,
know, from place to place. He's not corporeal,
Yeah.
so it's
no.
ultimately meaningless. I mean, it's like they don't do a special incantation or anything. They don't
Just
use any sort of, spells or whatever. They literally just churn him up and think, oh, so this undead zombie guy is dead now. He's probably not going to come
mm,
back. Whereas
yeah,
if he's basically a ghost, then, or a zombie ghost or whatever, then he can easily just turn up. So that's
basically.
a
Yeah.
nonsense ending anyway. I mean, the idea itself, the killings and stuff were fine, but I really think that as bad as the film was, that thing makes it, that development is interesting, but it's also like the worst thing about the film as
Yeah.
well. But the concept at the heart of it, if they'd have done it well, the idea of the fisherman thing becomes this urban legend, and it sort of perpetuates itself, and this thing just coincidentally on exactly the same day as in the first film, another thing happens,
Mm,
and the cycle begins again. I'm actually not against that. I don't mind that, because that's actually quite an interesting way to do it, to sort of say, to justify it and have a copycat. A copycat is a good way to go. I mean, that's what the Scream movies all did, didn't it? The copycat concept is what kept that going. So that would have been absolutely fine. I mean, the costume of the fisherman just looks ridiculous and unwieldy anyway, but because they've always got the thing zipped up so high.
yeah.
It's like, how could they
To hide the
possibly
face.
see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's safe. That's the worst.
See, it was annoying because all the way through the film, I'm sort of going, well, he's quite tall, so who could it be? Is it the sheriff? Is it his deputy? All this sort of stuff. It's like, no, you're wasting your time because it's just some zombie guy that we
Yeah,
made up.
none of the setup of like all the possible,
Hmm.
people responsible for it. None of that pays off because there's nowhere for it. Because they just go. It's almost like they were developing the film in one direction, and then someone came in with this idea at the end. Said, no, we're going to do that. It's like,
Yeah.
no, but the rest of the film we've been setting up. No.
Well, it's like 213 Bones, Rich, that we reviewed earlier. Imagine if that, if the killer suddenly turned out to be someone totally unconnected to the film at all.
Yeah, So if they said like, or they were connected, it's like maybe it was one of the bodies that they were
Yeah.
examining, the bones and stuff. Oh, they've actually become living, and because they're upset because the way we're messing about with their corpse, that's the person who's that isn't, that's not. Thankfully, that's not the direction that film went down. It's
that would be the worst film of the
in a real world, and I think this film, let's say, as bad as it is, if it had kept to its, if it kept its feet on the ground, and respectfully in line with the rest of the series, as absurd as the second film was, by the way, with all the traveling to Jamaica or Caribbean island and stuff. But if it had kept its feet on the ground, I think it would have been okay. But say, it really shot itself in the foot with this really absurd supernatural development, which was actually Sony also made, obviously, the urban legend films. They made a threequel, a DTV threequel for that as well, and they did the same thing.
Where Bloody Mary,
the Bloody Mary one,
yeah.
So it was like they said, we've done the first two, but this third one, let's mix it up. Let's add a supernatural element. But at least they were upfront in that one. It was like, it kind of made sense to do that to a degree.
Yeah. I
But
think
this one,
I think if they ever did that with the Scream series, that would be the death knell of it, wouldn't it?
Oh god, yeah, without a doubt.
yeah, that would be stupid. That's an equivalent. That is an equivalent. If they said, "Oh yeah, it's actually this character who's come back from the dead."
Yeah, exactly. They brought back Matthew Lillard from the first one or something. And...
Well, Matthew Lillard might be coming back. See,
Oh
but
my
I
god!
think
No, he's in.
back.
Yeah, he's in Scream 7.
Oh,
Yeah,
Skeet Ulrich was the other one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, at least
Yeah.
they brought him back as like a vision, like a ghost kind of, not a ghost, but like she imagined she was seeing him.
Okay.
They justified it that way. But
I need to watch all of them.
This is the equivalent of them actually saying, "Oh no,
You
he
do.
actually was back, even though he died."
I've only ever seen the first two, I must admit. Anyway, we're getting off track. Okay, then we don't score the throwbacks, but we do urge you to check them out. Even the shit ones like this. You'll find this one on, where was it? Tubi.
Tubi.
Tubi have this one at the moment. If you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing just for its batshitness. Otherwise, that is the end of this week's episode. So thanks, guys, for checking out these films. As we mentioned at the top of the show, these will be released at some point. They're all getting their, or they've all had their premiere, the UK premiere at Fright Fest, and they'll find their way onto DTV or streaming media in the near future. We recommend Pig Hill for its batshit twists. The Home was very good. 213 Bones was very good. And we all enjoyed Super Happy Fun Clown. I really liked Cover as well. The others take or leave, basically. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and X and Blue Sky at the DTV Digest on all three platforms. Also the Short Shots, where we take a look at some short films. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time.
Thank you for listening to the DTV Digest. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and tune in again next time.